Hi, I'm child psychiatrist Dr Kaylene Henderson, and I'm so glad you're here. This video is part of your Affinity Community's Take 5 series, in which you get to take a 5-minute breather while I share my top 5 tips to help you. Our topic in this video is understanding and addressing children's anxiety. Naturally, this is too big a topic to cover in just a few minutes, so rather than focus on anxiety in individual children, I've chosen 5 tips that aim to benefit your whole group. Tip number 1 is to normalise anxiety. You see, anxiety is a normal, helpful emotion, just like excitement or sadness, except that anxiety also comes with some cleverly hardwired bonus features that are designed to keep us safe. When we sense danger, our minds sharpen to focus solely on the situation at hand. We start breathing more rapidly so that our bodies can take in more oxygen. Our hearts beat more quickly to deliver this oxygen to our muscles, readying us to flee or to engage in battle. We really are very lucky to have this inbuilt survival feature. Oddly though, anxiety seems to have been pathologised over the years. It's had quite the villain edit, and we seem to have forgotten that since it's a universal human emotion, all of the children with whom you work will have already experienced anxiety. And unless it's causing problems for them, the presence of anxiety isn't a sign that a child needs professional help. In fact, it's simply a sign that they're a well-designed human being, which leads us to tip 2. Since all children experience anxiety, all children should be taught about it by their parents and educators. In fact, this is particularly important since of all the emotions, anxiety is the only one that, quite deliberately, makes us feel like we might be unsafe. And guess what happens when, while feeling anxious, we start breathing more quickly, our heart starts pounding, and we feel unsafe, just like we should, but we've never learned about anxiety. No one has taught us why it's helpful or how to control the intensity of it. Well, instead of recognizing anxiety as a familiar emotion, we instead assume we might be in danger, and therefore become, you guessed it, more anxious. And on it goes. Simply by including anxiety among the range of emotions we talk about with children as we teach them emotional literacy, ensuring all children learn that it's a normal, helpful, safe emotion, we have the potential to make a huge impact on the levels of anxiety felt by children, and in doing so, improve their mental health and well-being outcomes. Naturally though, learning about their anxiety will help all children, but there will still be a small number of children who experience more troubling anxiety. Which brings us to tip 3, knowing when to suggest they seek a professional for support. Just to be clear, I'm not suggesting you start diagnosing anxiety disorders, but know that these can occur even in this young age group, and that anxiety disorders are treatable. Given the impact these can have, it's always made sense to me that we suggest families seek assessments and support as early as possible. Ultimately then, their children will gain a head start, learning skills to master control of their anxiety that they'll find useful all through life. Tip 4, strive to lower children's baseline stress levels. You see, we each have a baseline stress level, and above that, a buffer zone, which extends between our baseline stress level down here and the point beyond which we become overwhelmed. Now, children, just like adults, will have different sized buffer zones. Those children with smaller buffer zones will tend to become overwhelmed more easily and quickly than others will with larger buffer zones. While we can't always control the reasons for this, we can try to make sure children's baseline stress levels are as low as possible, since doing so will increase the size of their buffer zones, allowing them to cope with more and become overwhelmed less often. There are lots of ways you can reduce children's baseline stress levels. You might consider introducing yoga, meditation, or various sensory activities. There's one approach though that makes such a big difference that it's scored its own tip, tip 5, to ensure predictability within your environment, routine, and interactions. Predictability sounds so simple, doesn't it? But when a child knows what's happening and what's up next, life feels safer and therefore less anxiety provoking. Children's physiological systems can relax, lowering those baseline stress levels, since there's no need to scan their environment for clues about what might be about to happen. This is why visual cueing is so helpful. When we visually display our routine for the day, children are able to predict how their day will unfold. Consider too whether you provide predictable sensory cues at certain times of the day. For example, do you play the same song at pack-up time? What about those bigger transitions, such as room changes? How might you help children to become more familiar with all the newness that awaits them, the people, the routine and the environment, so that these big changes feel more predictable and therefore less anxiety-provoking too? Even if each of the ideas you come up with creates just a small impact, if you come up with enough of them, they can add up to make a huge difference. Your education team is, as always, available to help you if you'd like to learn more about this important topic. Thank you so much for all that you do.